more than likely you're going to like push yourself, or you're going to be consistent, because that's number one with growing food is being showing up day in and day out, being consistently monitoring what you planted, watering it, and tending to it. And you tend, and this is just life in general, we tend to care for things or watch out for things that we truly care about, right?
Yeah.
Same principle applies to growing food.
So how are you today, Mr. Fredo?
Oh, I'm doing good, Blake. Just another opportunity just to sit down and, what we call like hanging out at the common table and, just talk about all things with growing food and food related.
Yes, sir. So today, this is episode 5. I've titled this Beginning. So I have a few questions for you. Just to start with gardening, just the beginning steps that you would take. So my first question is, how do you start your own vegetable garden?
So what we tend to encourage people is start off with what you like to eat. Like the first question that whenever we do like a survey, we're coming into somebody's space, what vegetables do you like to eat? Think about Thanksgiving. What do you like to see on the table? Or think about, 4th of July, or even just random, like your anniversary is coming up. What type of meal would you love to serve, like your partner? And then from there, we found you have greater successes in something that you enjoy consuming, enjoy eating, as a starting point, because you're willing like to make the sacrifice and the effort. So that's like number one. Find out what you like, and that be the starting place. Like I don't want to have you growing Brussels sprouts if you hate them, or cauliflower if you hate them. But if you like, man, I love broccoli, or I love sweet corn, you kind of start with those as your beginning. More than likely you're going to like push yourself, or you're going to be consistent, because that's number one with growing food is being showing up day in and day out, being consistently monitoring what you planted, watering it, and tending to it. And you tend, and this is just life in general, we tend to care for things or watch out for things that we truly care about, right?
Yeah.
Same principle applies to growing food,
Sweet. So I love jalapenos. Is that a good one to start with, or would that be?
Yeah, so one of the things too, as you're thinking about what you want to grow, like you have to know what will fall into the category of what do I need to start from seed, or what do I need to kind of start with like a transplant. So since you like hot peppers or jalapenos, those are what we would call varieties you want to find as baby seedlings, kind of like what I have on the table.
Yeah.
Or you can start them from seed yourself in your own sort of like makeshift greenhouse. But if you're a beginner, oftentimes I recommend beginners start with going to your local nursery and buying seedlings or transplants, or like what I like to tell the kids, baby plants to start with, because that gives you the right foundation for success. Sometimes we're starting stuff from seed. There are a lot of variables you have to factor in, such as the lighting, the soil, the water moisture. And as a beginner, that might be really hard to monitor from seed. But like starting off like with peppers, baby plants are like the way to go. But there are some plants you can start from seed that are forgiving for a beginner. But it's all about, again, if you like them. So it's like if you love okra. Okra is a very forgiving plant where you just put into the ground. Doesn't need like a lot of amendments added to it. Peas are like the same sort of thing. Not a lot of amendments that are needed, But then as you kind of get into like other varieties, you might have to think about fertilizing. Like some things need a little bit more fertility than others.
Yeah.
Some things need to be cross-pollinated than others. So you have to just think all those stuff out. But if you like it, more than likely you'll stay the course. What I mean? It's like I said, if you don't like Brussels sprouts, it's gonna be hard for me to convince you that Brussels sprouts is the crop that you need to grow. And again, I'm not knocking Brussels sprouts. They're baby carrots. They're really good when they're sautéed or cooked in the oven with a little bit of olive oil and Parmesan cheese with some like crackling peppers and things like that. So I'm all about Brussels sprouts, but I also know it takes a lot of patience to grow Brussels sprouts.
Yeah. So that leads me to the last question, is a series of 3.
Okay.
With starting seeds, what do you start? When do you start it? And how do you start seeds?
Okay. So with starting seeds, first and foremost, we think about the time of year.
Okay.
We're kind of we're about to get into like the springtime, summertime right now. So what we would start for seeds, when I say time of year, if it gets too warm, you don't really want to do certain seeds. So starting what time of year that you're in. We're going into like the spring, summer months. Our idea of starting seeds is really based upon the maturity date. So how soon do we want to consume or eat this crop based upon once we put it into the ground? Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, once you get a seed pack, and a couple other episodes I kind of show this so you guys can really like look at it and see. But the idea is like if you were a fan of going back to your peppers. Mm-hmm. So peppers, they tend to take 75 to like 90 days for it to be ready for maturity, but that's all about the right environment and the weather. And I might be getting too mathematic right now, but it helps like hopefully just stay the course with me and we'll break it down. Yeah. So with peppers, we tend to start peppers from seed actually like in January. January kind of going into February because they take so long for them to germinate. And germination is just that process of that seed kind of converting into like a baby plant and kind of the outward shell breaking off and all the sciencey sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have to be in a certain warm temperature. So because of that, peppers take a longer time to go from a seed to a baby plant. They might take 2 weeks, right? So 2 weeks is a long time in watching something grow. Like you're looking at it and nothing's happening. So find out your seed. Then the second thing that you need is a good soil mixture. So what we tend to recommend people that are just starting out or even you're established to find like a good seed started mix. And again, I'm emphasizing the seed started mix versus like potting soil. Potting soil is kind of when the plant is already established. Mm-hmm. It tends to have maybe like some compost or some other sort of manure. Your seed mix is really like a peat moss sort of base mixture with just some perlites, just very little added nutrients to it just to get the seed established. So that, and then the third thing that you want to have is a container. No, after you have your seed started mix, is a container to keep it in. We tend to start ours like in smaller trays, but like what I have here like on display is our is a 18 count 2-inch by 2-inch, but this is again the plant is already established and we're just using this to step up our plants,
Yeah.
And so with that, what I say, so you got your seed, the soil mixture, the container, and then you have to have an ample amount of light. Yeah. So with the light fixture, if you are again a beginner, you might want to go purchase some sort of like grow light system setup, or you can research online some do-it-yourself kits using like LED lighting, and it's all about the distance of the light from the plant. So when the plant is basically getting started, you want to have the light close to where the plant is at, not like so far up high, because if it gets high, the plant is going to be stretching towards the light. And if it stretches too far, they become like leggy, they start to fall over, and they don't establish like their root strong enough. So the closer you keep the light to the plant, the more that it kind of stays confined for like its strength and its growth.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so that's like, so there's a lot of things that, like we already have like little videos where we kind of like walk you through like those different steps of the components that you kind of can just watch for like your basic seed started. Yeah. And then once they get their true leaves established, you want to give it some sort of fertility, some fertilizer like at least once to 2 times a week, a light diluted version of it. And that's just designed because, again, this soil mixture, the seed started mix, doesn't have like nutrients involved. It's just really to get it going. So you have to feed the plant to really get the root system going to get it established.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that is a good place to end this one.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Fredo,
right.
Farmer Fredo. We will see you guys back in the next episode.
Yeah, all right, no problem. All right, take it easy.